We explain the impact of the Dutch East India Company. The Portuguese trading empire in the Asian Sea trading network was to last about 100 years. They'd been the first European nation to get a jump on exploration, on global trade, and finding the way around Africa to India, but they didn't have enough soldiers or ships to hold the lands they'd taken, and they didn't have enough global power to hold a trade monopoly. By the 17th century, they were taking massive trade losses. Sources say they often resorted to cutting the hands off of rival sailors if they were caught stealing and transporting cloves or nutmeg. But that still wasn't enough to survive the vastly superior ships of the Dutch and the later moves and tactics of the English. For the Dutch, it began during the 80 Years' War. The religious wars had created a tension between the Calvinist Dutch and their ruling authority, the Catholic ruler Charles V, who was both the grandson of Spain's Ferdinand and Isabella and the Habsburgs of the Holy Roman Empire. After a reign that included the rise of Martin Luther and his Reformation, the fight for control of Catholicism against France, the fighting of the Italian families, the Ottomans, only to watch the French and the Ottomans form an alliance, the conquest of the Aztecs, the Incas, the expansion of slavery, Charles began to abdicate his titles in 1555. He gave the Netherlands to his son Philip II, a strong anti-Protestant and a believer in the Inquisition. 7 of the 17 provinces that made up the Spanish Netherlands declared independence in the Union of Utrecht. The revolution was led by William of Orange and eventually backed by Elisabeth I and the Ottomans. They declared independence by nature of claiming that Philip II had not fulfilled his promises to them, therefore abdicated his responsibility in 1581 with the Act of Abjuration. The other 10 provinces, which included places like Belgium and Luxembourg, remained in the south with the Catholic Habsburgs. As an additional step in their revolution, the Dutch took to the seas to take on the Spanish and the Portuguese trading colonies and create their own spice empire. In 1599, ships returned from the Indies to Amsterdam loaded with cloves and pepper. The success led to the boom of Amsterdam and the building of warships. In 1602, the Republic allowed for the creation of a joint stock company named the Dutch East India Company. It was given full powers of the state to wage war, make peace, and establish colonial governments. Some of their trade tactics were less than ethical. Whereas the Portuguese had tried to monopolize through fear, the Dutch went to islands they didn't own and uprooted spice plants, eliminating their competition. They also captured Portuguese ports like Malacca, from their headquarters at Batavia on the island of Java. Also, they practiced good relations with the native sultans and rulers. At first, the Dutch paid tribute to the local sultans, getting their permission to engage and absorb local islands, especially the ones that contained the lucrative coffee bean. The sultans would use the Dutch powerful warships to attack rivals. As payment, the Dutch would take parts of the Sultanate under control, until eventually they controlled it all. The Dutch were the only European state Japan traded with during their isolation. This helped the Dutch discover there was more money in shipping goods for trading nations, and they acted as shipper for Chinese goods between islands and then back to China. They also built a colony in Cape Town, South Africa, as a midway point.